Defining moment for Kongwei, but already the shockwave comes out. He has the Chrono Break, he has the Parallel Convergence, here's the TP from PSG. They're looking for this fight. 3 members of the Unicorns on the back of the pit as here comes Gadget. With the Demonic Ascension, they're looking for the knock-up on him, and Analytic is going to be able to get the Baron.
玉宇是大招应该是被江城的净化躲掉了，最后的时刻。
welcome back to the interview booth. Laura here, joined by Mac, head coach of the Mad Lions. Thank you very much for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
As always, I mean, you wrapped up the first day at Worlds here in play-in, 1-1 for the Mad Lions. I guess this is not the start you expected by the beginning of the day. So talk me through this day, the fact that you had to play 2 games, and the results overall.
Yeah, not exactly the day that we were hoping for sure. It's disappointing. I mean, we played first and last, so it was a very long day for us. But I don't want to use that as an excuse at all. I think that we misexecuted and fumbled a lot of things in the second game. So for sure, we're all disappointed with, I think, the way that we played the second game, especially. Obviously, the first game wasn't clean at all by any standards. But the first game, I can kind of give us a freebie on that one, because we've been so long without playing on stage, and the players were nervous. They're young. It's their first international event, so that one's fine, you know. But I think this evening's match was not great for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. You have to adjust to a lot of things, especially with a very young team. So talk me through your journey here in China since you arrived, and everything you have to adapt on when it comes to playing on stage again, everything.
Sure. So obviously the journey here was really long. The jet lag wasn't so bad for me, but it was not great for some players. Adapting to different foods, adapting to the quarantine, coaching remotely for 2 weeks was really interesting. I think a lot of teams struggled with that one, but I mean, we're all in the same boat on that one, right? Thankfully, the kind of new hotel that we're in is absolutely wonderful, so we're all really happy with that.
Nice.
But we've only been here for 2 days. So that's it's a lot of adjustment, a lot of packing and moving and setting up new places and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a real roller coaster the last couple of weeks for sure.
Right. Now tell me about the excitement from the players being here at Worlds in China. We saw Carzy tweeting quite often during quarantine, but yeah, how is the general mood within the players, and how excited are they to reach the next stages?
The mood is really good, for sure. I think at the beginning we started off scrimming and we were getting absolutely destroyed by all of the Asian teams, and we went and looked at exactly what they were doing, and we got a really good read on all of the things that we're missing as a team, which is the absolute best thing that we could have gotten in our first few days. And I think that really motivated people to step up and really work on the areas that they're lacking in. So I think we've grown a lot as individuals and as a team over the last 2 weeks, which has been really good for us. And outside of that, I mean, everyone's in love with China. China is so much fun. The hotel is amazing. Being all around all of the other players is fantastic as well, and all the other teams, and being kind of all the European teams on the same page is really fun, because you don't often get to be cheering for each other that much. So that's been really good. But the main thing is just playing against good teams, which has been also fantastic.
Of course. And you were mentioning scrims and everything. I know it's still very early to draw tendencies about the meta and how the game is going to be played. But when it comes to competition towards the team that we've seen today, what do you think about the level at Worlds in play-ins this year compared to what you've seen last year was placed?
I'm really not sure. I felt like last year our play-in group wasn't that strong. I think INTZ actually played really well against us, honestly. Obviously, we made some fumbles, but I thought that game was really fun. And I think that they move pretty well on the map most of the time. You know, they're aggressive. They don't take their foot off the gas, which is good, because I think that's the main problem that a lot of play-in teams have, is that they don't know how and when to punish you and move aggressively, and they end up just kind of slowly losing, right? And that definitely wasn't the case with INTZ. Liquid are also pretty good, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I think the play-ins are relatively strong this year from what I've seen. I think PSG also really surprised me. I think they were playing super well as well.
Yeah, I think PSG is the big highlight of today, in the fact that no one expected them to 2-0 their groups on day one. But I mean, we'll see what happens in the next few days. And also for Mad Lions, so Mac, thank you very much for joining me today, and looking forward to seeing you guys again during the next game.
Thank you very much.
And back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Laura. Welcome back to Worlds 2020 and Mad Lions versus Supermassive. So we learned Lions aren't very good swimmers in the liquid yesterday, but Yamato and Amazing are here to go ahead and get our armbands on for another one. As the young EU squad try to get back to their old ways, how surprising was their showing on day one, given that we knew they were underperforming on the latter half of summer?
I think I had high hopes for them, mostly because I imagined that coming into the World Championship that they would figure out the meta. The Evelyn pick is nothing new. It's been around for a couple of, like a month now, even longer, and it feels like coming into the championship, teams that had draft issues, which definitely Mad Lions had against the Rogue when they kind of completely bombed out. I thought they would be solved, but we continued in a very similar fashion.
I do think that their struggles against INTZ were more surprising than them losing to Liquid, because that loss is forgivable. I do think that Liquid is just a good team. I think they're not like a regular third seed in general. I think they could have potentially been second or first in NA too. So that loss was not surprising, but I do think the struggles against INTZ and especially Shadow's jungle play in the early game, like usually he feels so comfortable. He seems to like just predict the enemy jungler's pathing, make an early play happen, get his team ahead, like drop a couple of CS for it. But we saw a different approach to his gameplay yesterday, and I personally do not like the Evelyn pick, nor do I like the playstyle that it kind of like portrays.
Right, and that it leads to, like, it leads them down a dark path. And the first takeaways from SuperMassive, because I mean, they took down INTZ, and this one was a little more convincing than Mad Lions' victory against INTZ.
Yeah, for sure. Like INTZ made some blunders, but it all was off of the back of decent play. It was an early Hecarim kill. Usually when you see an early Hecarim kill, Amazing said it himself in the green room.
He's shaking his head like
it's just kind of
solo queue, you know it's lost.
It's kind of lost.
that rainbow pony dives into your lane and already, you know.
All chat activated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the dive on top as well was also a disaster. That was 5-man going into Shen, and then Shen got a double kill and was alive.
Yeah.
And the game was just, they were just hitting nails into the coffin at that point afterwards.
Yeah, we can see some of the replays of Armut and what he got up to.
Still don't know how that Shen got over the wall.
So everyone's calling this, a 2v5 under the turret eventually when we get to that one. I mean, the only way we can explain that is, here it is a colossal misplay, right?
He's just a ninja. They can't see him.
It's actually...
Like, why is he still alive? What is going on?
That's incredible.
Yeah, so he gets the double kill, and that was just a little taste of what Armut might be bringing in again.
And if you stop his ultimate, you get killed for it, so I think there's no counterplay at that point anymore.
What a nightmare. Okay, so keep your eyes on Armut, and he's going up against Orome, so that should be a bit of a head-to-head, I suppose.
Yeah, I think considering Oroma's performance against Impact, where he played the Camille into Mordekaiser and was honestly just a big problem for Mad Lions in that match, looking at this matchup specifically, I think there is... a discussion to be made about Orome, being a potential weakness for Mad Lions. Okay, so this is again, it seems like you guys are setting the scene for this game, determining how high your expectations will be for Mad Lions in the play-ins. I mean, yes, they've had their INTZ game, they've swept that one under the rug. Mac just explained that one away. The second one, he considers Team Liquid a strong team and also acknowledges the mistakes they've made. But if they're up to their same tricks today, Amazing, if there's still Evelyn, if there's still, first bloods being drawn by that Hecarim from Cacao, things could get awkward fast for Mad Lions. Yeah, they would get awkward pretty fast. I do expect that they will somehow adapt. I do think that this whole top-centric playstyle and then jungle farming playstyle is not something they're going to try to pursue anymore. Okay. I think they're actually going to try to get some drawbacks and actually go back to what their comfort is, which is basically have the top laner be more of a team-centric pick and have the jungle be more of an early game pick, like a pressure pick, to facilitate especially the mid lane coming in. Yeah, and just your final closing thoughts on this series. Mad Lions are up against the ropes. I think the good performance from Mad Lions was just the mid lane. We saw Bolulu taking a more defensive role on the draft we have on the screen. Everyone's centering around Cacao. I think Mad Lions can take the approach where they play for the laners, play for the bot lane, play for Humanoid. I like when Shadow is on that set, or maybe the Lee, maybe an Olaf, anything that is just early game centric to make sure that Humanoid can play aggressive and don't put themselves in a position where they're waiting for the Evelyn to farm and then buy a Banshee and be useless. That's one way to put it. It is one way to put it. That's Yamato, that's Amazing, and that's all from us. We'll see what happens after the break as SuperMassive look to remain undefeated.
the game against Team Liquid definitely didn't go as expected, because I expected us to play a lot better, but we don't play at all like we are used to, or at least how we play in scrims. So it was quite disappointing.
He's going to try and dive forward. Got the exhaust. Tactical has a stopwatch of his own. There's nothing you can do. Team Liquid ready.
I don't think we have to make any changes before day 2. I think it's just that we are kind of choking and we are uncomfortable, and that's why we are playing worse on stage. So we just need to work on our mentality. I think we are gonna bounce back from this, and we are gonna be stronger and stronger.
Hello and welcome back to Worlds 2020. We've had an exciting day of League of Legends. We've already had 5 games, which is usually the amount that we fit into a single day. And we have 2 more. We've got Mad Lions up against SuperMassive, and then Team Liquid taking on the OS representatives Legacy Esports later on today.
Yeah, and I think this game we're just about to get into has a lot of potential standing here, because we came into Group A and I think everyone was like, oh, the front runners are likely the EU and North American representatives, with SuperMassive as that dark horse potentially. But I think Mad Lions weren't super thrilled in their performance yesterday, and SuperMassive, they came out swinging earlier on today.
They really did. Like, SuperMassive looked incredibly strong. Armut, especially on the Shen, just putting on a clinic on how to play that top laner. SuperMassive are on the blue side, Mad Lions on the red. The winner of this game locks themselves into knockouts. They are guaranteed at least 4th, because INTZ, of course, have already lost 3 games in this group. They could only win 1 more. Renekton banned, Akali banned, Pantheon taken away by Mad Lions.
All right, so I think the big question on a lot of people's minds is Shadow. What's going on with him? What are the changes he's going to make? Yesterday we saw 2 performances on the Evelynn that did leave a bit to be desired. I know Amazing was very vocal on the desk. We want to see Shadow get back to the form that he found so much success on during the regular LEC split. On the likes of the Lee Sin, where he was able to have early game impact. And Brock just showed him yesterday, you can still play Lee Sin even in this meta and get your team ahead.
It's just, was the Lee Sin the reason that they got ahead in that game, Ender?
No!
Yeah. But you can still play Lee Sin in this meta and get ahead. That is true, and it's going to get banned away from him.
There you go.
So we can't play it in this game. Lilia, once again, seems to be working its way through pick and ban. SuperMassive obviously played the Hecarim earlier today, and I don't think they played a huge amount of Lilia in their regular season. I'm just going to have a quick mosey to make sure that I'm correct in that. I am. They only played it once. Cacao only brought it out once, but he is very good at that sort of more farming style. The Nidalee, the Graves, Lilia kind of fits into that wheelhouse as well.
Yeah, and we actually saw earlier today, obviously Armut stole the spotlight with his Shen, getting all those kills, solo kills, 1v4, 1v5 tower dives. It was very successful, but their draft was built around Cacao's Hecarim, and now with the first pick, Nidalee, it's a lot of focus on him again, making sure he can have a champion that's meant to outpace his opposition, get an early advantage in terms of jungle camps. And that is something that Shadow has the opportunity to match here with the likes of the Graves, if you wanted to branch out a bit there, or the Hecarim even.
Could always go back to the Evelynn if you really wanted to. Perhaps show us today.
I intentionally didn't say Evelynn, Medic. I intentionally didn't say it.
I get you. Mad Lion's going to go for the Twitch Rakan combo that we have seen work so well. Worked well against them yesterday from Tactical and Core JJ. And then was pretty good earlier on today as well.
All right, I mean, the Senna coming through, this is a backline already if I've ever seen one for SuperMassive. I mean, the healing you get when you combine Senna plus Nidalee, and then Nidalee too, she gives attack speed with her heal, which works so well in conjunction with an Azir, the attack speed you can buff up on him. So they have a lot of backline staying back, kiting away, whereas now, with the Rakan on top of a Hecarim pick, Mad Lions want to take the fight to them and make sure they can reach Bolulu and Zeitner.
And that's what Kaiser has done so well through the regular season and through the playoffs, was his ability to be proactive, to be the playmaker for the team, lead the charge. And we didn't see it as much yesterday as perhaps we usually would. So the Rakan gives him a little bit more freedom to do that. Love the Nautilus ban. We saw already earlier today how strong Nautilus can be into Rakan.
All right, I think for SuperMassive, we want to look at an Orianna ban here, something that works very nicely next to a Hecarim. But you could also try to take away, solid top lane options. The desk was talking about Armut versus Rome, and Rome has been a bit of a liability for them, especially in that game yesterday, up against Impact and Team Liquid. But the Orianna ban is a good one.
Yep, already going to get taken away from Humanoid, one of his most played this split. So no real surprises that has been banned. Things like the Twisted Fate still available for him though. Also played a lot of Syndra, played some Galio. Like he's got sort of the traditional wheelhouse of mid laners right now. The Alistar getting taken away from the Snowflower. Usually it would be surprising, but Snowflower is such an incredible Alistar that it is not too much of a shock to me.
Yeah, Snowflayer is a Snowflayer, he's got a good Thresh too, you know, we'll give him credit where credit is due. That champion is still open for him, but he always performs internationally. Very excited to see this bot lane once again at another World Championship. And now with the Shen taken away, I do really like this because that was the other option, a very good blind pickable top laner that works so nicely with all three of the champions Mad Lions already have. I really like how Supermassive have approached this draft already.
Now Mad Lions have to try and work a way around it. Zoe's going to be locked here for Humanoid. Only played that once in summer, lost on it, but last year he was a big Zoe player, so it's not too much of a surprise. And now I wonder, with Mad Lions leaving their top lane counter for last pick, like how they're going to do this. Because usually Rome is weak side. Usually he plays things, you know, like the Ornn, something that you can just farm up on. And it feels like you could have probably picked Ornn here and still had the ability to then have a bit more strength in the mid lane, but you've already got the Azir locked, so
Exactly.
It,
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think Zoe is a good answer here in the Azir specifically, and also when you see like a Nidalee in the jungle, like there's not a ton of hard engage options they can bring. Obviously they can pivot because they left support and top lane open. The Leona does come in as a champion, and now the Wukong here. I really like this, a bit of a pocket pick for Armut. Get him on something that is very powerful inside of the laning phase and try to bully around Arome a bit.
I love the Wukong. Of course, Mad Lions very experienced with it. We have seen both the Rome and Kaiser play it, and it looks like it's going to be the Mord. So the goal for Mordekaiser is, hey, Wukong, you want to jump into my team? Nope. You can only come into the Death Realm with me. You're not going to be able to get onto that back line at all. And we'll see if Rome is able to be effective with it throughout the course of the game. But having a look more just over general team compositions, as you said, like Supermassive had this really nice long-range engage, but also kite ability in their comp, with the Senna healing, with the Nidalee healing, with the Azir soldiers, whereas Mad Lions do really seem to want to dive into that backline.
Yeah, I do feel like both teams have like an overarching strategy where it's like you have the dive, right? You immediately notice from Mad Lions, but they also do have some flexibility, right? As soon as Mad Lions put a Zoe into their draft, well, now you can actually slow things down a bit. Look for a poke, potentially, and get that poke damage down before you end up fully committing towards a fight, whereas early on, all we had was showing that strong backline for the side of Supermassive, but they finished out with Wukong and Leona, which is meant to try and punish a Zoe when she R's forward and really find that attack and start the fight on their own terms.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to hit a solar flare if you know exactly where the enemy's going to be in a half a second's time when the Zoe jumps back, so looking forward to see how these two teams interact in team fights, because Supermassive weren't really challenged in their first game of the day. They pretty much just swept away the opposition. Mad Lions yesterday did not show up to the same degree that I think a lot of European fans were expecting. And also, they didn't show up to the degree we saw them in the regular season. Like in playoffs, they struggled a little bit, but this was our best team in the LEC in the regular season, apart from Rogue, who topped.
All the way up until the end, right?
Until, like, the last week.
Is the question we were trying to answer, and it does make sense. You know, this is a very young team, 4 brand new rookies. Karzi always playing games with the camera. You'll love to see that there. But this team only got 14 stage games in spring before we ended up going online. So it is a bit of a different beast for these players. Try and adapt to and get comfortable in, and that's why the play-ins, these first 4 games, you must find your form early to stay involved in the tournament.
A win here makes sure you are in the knockout stages. Doesn't guarantee you your seed, but will lock you at least an opportunity in a best of 5 to make it through to groups. We have a team of 4 rookies and Humanoid against a team that has a lot of Worlds experience. Once again, Armut was here with Royal last year. They lost the clutch in the knockouts. Cacao was here with IG in 2015, all those years ago. Balulu was here with Fenerbahce in 2019, where he was at MSI. Zeitnot went to MSI 2017, 2018, Worlds 2018 as well. Snowflower was at MSI 2018 and Worlds 2018.
I'm scribbling notes down furiously, Medic. I've got it.
They played more games at Worlds than Mad Lions have on stage.
Can they convert it into a 2-0 start here? That's the question here for Supermassive. I'm really curious to see how these comps end up interacting, because it can get really fun, especially in the team fights later on. But after the incredible performance we saw from Armut earlier in the day, he's now on the Wukong versus Mordekaiser, which we actually saw Mordekaiser as a very early counter pick into that Wukong. Of course, Wukong gets a lot of armor fighting long time with his passive. Mordekaiser going to be able to cut through that quite nicely, and I think with a Hecarim early on, you do have a little bit more options, because this Nidalee doesn't have a lot of CC to play around early on in the lane phase, which immediately reduces her really powerful gank option.
Yeah, that's why we usually see Nidalee teamed up with something like a Renekton who can stun for her in the top lane, someone that can lock people down so that when the spear comes in, it's a lot easier to land that damage. And Shadow switched over to a sweeper after getting an early ward down. He's warded his Razor Beaks, and at the moment it looks like Kakao is going for the invade.
Yeah, I really like this play coming through from them. He's going to start on the red buff with Q very likely. Yep, there it does go out, and now, because you actually notice Carzzy and Kaiser are giving a leash over to Shadow, that means bot prio will be in favor of Supermassive. So depending on how aggressive Kakao wants to get, he could try to potentially play to fight around Shadow early on.
All right, now he's just going to go and steal away these Razor Beaks. Shadow, relatively low from his first camp, didn't use his smite because he wants to try and get in and steal away this red, but he has been spotted on a ward.
Yeah, but here's the thing, like, Hecarim does get fairly low in the jungle. If he does Raptors, he's going to sustain a lot off of that, but this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, Kakao counter jungles the Raptors and now walks straight through mid lane, because Bolulu, he's going to have push in here too, so I really like this early game plan, how you can exploit having this Nidalee versus the Hecarim early on and some strong early lanes.
Snowflower going for the early roam as well to make sure that if Shadow had been waiting in a bush, Kakao wouldn't be on his lonesome in the fight. In the bottom lane, as you say, Zeitnot and Snowflower have got the push early on, but Carzzy and Kaiser have been pretty good at just farming themselves up underneath this tower.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting seeing the how the junglers are interacting early on. Of course, Kakao with his tenure, you know, finding ways to still influence these early matchups. But I feel like Mad Lions for a long time, like Shadow is known as this very aggressive jungler who would love to go for the invade, similar to how we just saw Kakao do that against them. And I think a lot of credit has to go to the Mad Lions staff that are very good at figuring out how enemy junglers think about the game and pathing around it accordingly, but unable to come up with an answer to that level 1 invade. And now Nidalee, we know these AP junglers, once they get ahead, they continue to get rolling here. When the Runic Echoes comes through, like, you're going to be looking to really sprint through your camps.
Looked like Armut was going for a cheat back in the top lane. Instead, he decides against it. Kakao could come up here, but he's got a lot of camps left available to him. So I wonder if he's just going to go for the topside Scuttle Crab, while Shadow actually might go for an invade on these Razor Beaks.
Wow, no, he's looking around for a mid lane gank potentially, but Bolulu just going to walk away. Humanoid got redemption. He's like, it's time to fight.
It's done.
But no, it's not meant to be. It will just be that Raptor invade like you were talking about. Scuttle Crabs traded on opposite sides of the map too here for Kakao.
It's something we don't talk about too often, but just getting a redemption in lane as Zoe, it's like, okay, I won the RNG, the coin flip this time, you can't do anything, I get free push, I get free health, and you can take some of those fights. And you can see Humanoid using the fact that he got a free push on the lane to go back, get himself a Dark Seal, get himself some boots, and basically get a free cheetah recall.
Surprised to see Kakao running around the map so much, to be honest. You know, a little bit of time wasted, and now we'll pop out on top of Shadow. No camps to fight over necessarily here, and because Shadow was able to steal away those Raptors, it is just back, you know, pretty much dead even. Shadow just under that level 4 mark. Of course, I think Kakao was able to steal some from mid lane to make that breakpoint.
I wonder if Kakao thought perhaps he could fight over the bot side Scuttle, maybe thinking Shadow was there a little bit later than he was.
Yeah, I think it's a bit ambitious, though, I would say, with like the actual timers of it spawning, because Shadow even snuck in an extra camp before clearing away the Scuttle Crab that Kakao didn't know about.
And Shadow now looking to get into the enemy jungle once again and steal something away.
Yeah, look at this. This is so good from Shadow. Like, it could be risky,
though. It's only good
though.
if it works, because Wukong's already moving from the top lane. Like, Armut could be on his way here pretty soon. Kakao's going to come in from the side. The smite is available for Shadow.
He knows that he's still here.
Here we go. Kakao's going to jump across the wall. Shadow looking for the smite. Gets it. Level 4 on both of them now. The devastating charge is going to knock Kakao back, and Kakao actually is going to go very low here. Shadow has popped the ghost. Balulu's coming in from the side here as well. No Emperor's Divide on him yet. Humanoid looking for the sleep. Can't quite land it. Does have the ignite. Humanoid deciding so far not to chuck that paddle stop. There was a flash in the mid lane as Balulu jumps back in. Snowflower now coming in from the bottom lane. But Balulu, very aggressive flash from him.
That was wild. I mean, Humanoid's rocking the heels, so he gets Shadow out of that one, no problem. But off of that invade, it is 2 flashes burnt Kakao just to stay alive. Shadow had popped his own ghost for the extra AD to try and win that 1 versus 1, because with the smite, he was able to reach that level 4 breakpoint. But Balulu losing his flash is really tragic, because now that level 6 play is going to be so much weaker if you look to play around the Emperor's Divide.
And he doesn't have cleanse or anything for the Drowsy, right? So if he gets caught out, there's no way to escape. He's now used his teleport. He has no flash for the next 4 minutes or so. It's going to be very, very hard for Balulu in the mid lane to survive if he ever gets caught out. But of course, Azir can stand that little bit further back with the soldiers and try and farm at range. Question is how much Mad Lions can utilize the fact that they have this advantage and actually take it and snowball something away with it.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I was like, Shadow, he didn't figure out a way to counter out the early pathing, but no, he did find that way, and that is good to see. But I don't think he'll be able to contest over the spot side Scuttlecraft, which is going to be a very good look for Kakao. The reset comes in first from Zeitnot and Snowflower, and you can use that early pressure. I especially love seeing it when we have these farming junglers, when you can actually get that first reset through, and your support is the first one back on the map. It gives you a lot of pressure. You can see they contest over the spot side Scuttlecraft, and Mad Lions cannot hope to match it. And it also transitions into more than just the Golden EXP there. There's now double control wards inside of the river, which gives a lot of safety to Balulu, who of course, flashless, needs that extra protection.
You can see Kaiser's working his way down towards that bot side river to see if there's anything for him to clear out, but Kakao is sneaking into the bot lane.
And look at the minion wave. It's set up. There's so many ranged minions, it's going to push away. Kaiser realizing this, needs to get back into bot side, but Shadow is nowhere near. They either lose so many minions and like don't actually step forward and risk it all, or we're going to be looking at some Summoner's Blown.
There is the Zenith Blade, there's the spear. Kaiser's going to jump away, dodges all the way back to safety, doesn't even have to burn a flash.
Well, that was a little bit early, I will say, from Supermassive trying to jump onto the Rakan. Very mobile champion right there, so jumped the gun just a tad early. And now Shadow, he's going to go back for those wolves. Like, he knows exactly when those are respawning, so that's actually really, really good news for the Mad Lions, who are in almost an impossible position in that bottom lane. They were not going to be able to push out that next wave. They were going to lose minions, and now they lose nothing.
And it's one of those things where Supermassive jumping the gun just that little bit allows so much more freedom to Mad Lions, because we saw yesterday against Team Liquid, Mad Lions overstepped. Mad Lions forced plays in the bot lane a few times too many, and Broxer was there and Team Liquid just turned it around. Tactical getting kills, flashing forward. Here, if Supermassive had just been that tiny bit more patient, that tiny bit more reserved, they could have perhaps caught Kazi stepping a bit too far instead of going for Kaiser.
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering how crazy Shadow was going to get with the blue buff respawning. He knows about it, playing around that top side. And see both mid laners, like neither mid laner actually has much mana, so fights can get really, really interesting. Shadow does have access to level 6, and Rome doesn't know this is coming.
Cyclone coming down, and Rome actually paths down towards Kakao, and that's first blood before Rome can react.
Yeah, and it's going on to Armut. We saw what happened with Shen, now he's on the Wukong.
Flash. He's going to try and get away, but there's the fear, and there's second kill of the game as Shadow takes down the Azir.
Yeah, really nicely done from both teams. Both junglers saw their windows, and they were able to attack. Rome did not see that one coming at all, but Zeitnot with a good roam will be in here in mid lane to pick up that bonus cannon before sprinting back down bot side, because there's going to be a wave coming in there too. So a little bit of mid-maxing from the bot side. Big winner though is Supermassive with this Rift Herald coming off the back of the play.
That spear just go wide with the Rift Herald?
Look, Rift Herald's big, but can tuck in if needed.
Okay, good to know. Rift Herald dodging as much as it can. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we said that Zeitnot was going to be able to get here to try and protect, but not really able to catch too many of these minions because Kaiser has the quickness, Kazi has the spray and pray. This is going to be a plate going over to the bot lane of Mad, and a slight CS lead. Zeitnot will be able to catch the final few minions underneath the tower. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of gold. And Mad Lions, 400 gold ahead, almost 10 minutes into this game. The Sheen complete on Shadow. Blade of the Ruin King on its way for Kazi, not quite done. On the other side, Balulu's gone for the Mercury Treads first. And in the top lane, Armut now, with that 1-kill lead, has the Tiamat and the Sheen. Yeah,
he'll be working on the Trinity Force as the go-to purchase for a lot of Wukong players. Also, still held onto his teleport. So after Rome died, he had to TP back topside. And since the Rift Herald was taken away, it's not like Mad Lions can do some fancy little swap maneuvers to escape from that disadvantage. So Supermassive do have a large window in which they can try to exploit that by playing around this Infernal. And Armut with access to ultimate, you want to set up some wards for him to enter with.
There's the sleep. Paddle Star not going to be popped by Humanoid. Didn't have the portal jump, so couldn't even jump forward to use it. Meanwhile, Kazi now just going to go down and farm in the bottom lane. And we do have an Infernal Drake on the map, and it's 10 minutes. Usually we see the first Dragon fall between about 7 and 10. Feels like both teams haven't really set up around it yet, but Supermassive are now trying to gain this river control.
Yeah, there's been a bit larger focus, especially for Mad Lions around the top side of the map with the Invade Shadow Maid. So it does make quite a bit of sense, but now that the level 6s have come through, like, it gets explosive for both sides, and that's why I was looking at the teleport for Armut to come in on.
That's the Cyclone for nothing?
Yeah, I was looking, I was like, are we fighting up here? What's going on? Armut just pops that one, and now the teleport difference will feel a little bit less bad for the Mad Lions. Rome, even with that early death, is doing well in terms of the overall farm department. Went for the very quick armor route, so we'll struggle if Kakao ever visits top lane, but if he doesn't, here we go.
Snowflower's going to get knocked back with the devastating charge. There's the quickness. Snowflower flashes out of the knock-up, though. The tenacity from the Mercury Treads actually saving his life.
It's a big purchase there. There's a lot of CC too from the Mad Lions. Here's Kakao. Can he find the spear? It's not quite going to connect. And Humanoid just starting to take control over this middle lane. Balulu is taking a lot of poke, being forced under the tower continually, and this is allowing Mad Lions to now look for a fight.
Solar Flare coming down. Shadow, of course, doesn't have Flash, doesn't have Ghost, doesn't have his ult, but he can knock some Snowflower back. Dawning Shadow used. Humanoid looking for the Paddle Star. Shadow takes the spear to the back. Here's Armut. Flashes forward and swings down the hammer. Another kill to the Wukong.
Yeah, now Kakao is going to move that straight down into the Infernal Drake on top. So Supermassive, twice in a row now, Kakao has been able to convert a singular kill into a nice objective for the squad. And while the gold remains even, Supermassive are stacking those up.
Humanoid steals away the smite. Zenith bladed on. Humanoid gets Ignite now as Kakao goes low. Kaiser trying to join, but here's the TP from Balulu. Just needs to shuffle his way in. Humanoid almost takes down Kakao, but Balulu is there. Supermassive really swinging hard at the start of this game.
Yeah, all right, I spoke a little too soon. It wasn't the Drake, but it was a kill onto Humanoid. Humanoid, we know he likes to get aggressive. He's a very, very cocky player. If he sees an opening, he's going to try to take it, but it was a little bit too much.
And although Mad do still have a small gold lead, you have to remember the Rift Herald is still sitting in Kakao's inventory. You've got a minute and a half before the plates fall, and then probably about 30 seconds before he has to place it. So that's going to be some more gold for Supermassive. Also, getting these kills onto Balulu when he fell behind in lane allows him to get towards that Nash's Tooth. Looks like he actually might be going for Ludens first on the Azir here. And Armuth is in such a strong position as well. 3 plates taken in that top lane.
Well,
gonna get 5 as the Rift Herald comes down.
It's gonna be a little bit more than that. Really good play coming through from Supermassive. And Orome, as one person, you cannot hope to clear this quickly enough. That is a one-hit kill there. Gold shared between Armut and Kakao. And Mad Lions with, Shadow pathing towards topside. Karzi and Kaiser doing the same. They've now had to convert out of that play, The tower goes down, they can't find a move, so they can't even trade for any plates on the bottom side of the map. That's a big win for Supermassive.
And now that they've taken that first tower, they will just look to move Armut down into this bottom side jungle. The Cyclone engage with the Nimbus Strike can be so powerful, especially when you follow it up with the Solar Flare. Kaiser trying to get some vision around this dragon, but it's denied by a control ward behind the pit.
All right, feels like we might be looking at a team fight very, very soon. So let's go down into what these teams need to accomplish. Mad Lions need to use Orome's ultimate to remove some of the frontliners. Probably an Armut from the fight allows Shadow and Kaiser to dive into the backside. They're stuck in the pit. Nope, they're not going to make the call. Arome's going to go back towards topside. But that's the idea. Again, Arome, even, after Armut's gotten a lot of kills, well, remove him from the fights, and it's going to be a lot better. And the hard engage can try to shut down this Nidalee Senna.
Shadow was super low on mana there, which is why I think they decided not to fight it. He probably had enough for an onslaught of Shadows, and that was about it. But here comes the quickness, and Shadow's actually coming back for the fight. They're going to knock Snowflower back. And with no flash, even with the Solar Flare, Dawning Shadow combination, I'm not sure if the healing comes out. Kakao joins the fight. It's a 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. Kakao's not going to land the spear onto Kaiser.
He wants
Grand entrance used to exit as Mad Lions able to retreat. But Balulu still has flash in the mid lane, and the ward on Arome will mean that Balulu can just back away.
What looked like such a clean, easy gank for Mad Lions turns into a 1-for-1 because not just the Senna, but the Nidalee on top. They kept Snowflower alive for so long. And this is something that will be a problem for Mad Lions. Right now, the only source of healing reduction is going to be that Bramble Vest. Arome is nowhere near the bot lane for a while.
It's 1,000 gold lane now developed for Supermassive. Paddle Star's going to come out here. Kakao So a lot of HP lost from a single paddle start, but as you say, you can just heal it straight back
But
up.
that's almost a bit of the strange thing about picking the Zoe into the Nidalee is that she can heal up a lot of the damage that Zoe does, and even you can line up your spear, so every time Zoe goes for a QR combo, well, you know exactly where she's snapping back to, so Nidalee spears are fair game, Solar Flare exactly from that Leona, all going to be on the table, and Humanoid has to be mindful of that as we move forward.
Even things like Dawning Shadow, like just being able to line it up and you know whereabouts at least the Zoe's going to land. Of course, the cast time on the Dawning Shadow is a little bit longer than the portal jump. Watch out, Eep Kazi. He's able just to ambush his way to safety.
Yeah, Solar Flare was just a second off there before it came back off of cooldown for Snowflower, so they don't press too far forward on that one. Karzi likely only would have lost the flash, but would have been a big cooldown, because that would still be down before the Mountain Drake spawned. Although, this is a weird game, because we only have one dragon taken at 16 minutes, so things are definitely a little bit slower, and the team fights around dragon aren't going to feel as important.
Right, at least not for the next 10 minutes
Exactly.
or so. You can see Armut here funneled in a lot of gold early on, all those plates helping him out, about 700 gold ahead. Cacao as well, doing an incredible job, farming up as he's 400 gold ahead of Shadow.
A fun little thing on the Herald, I believe the eye opens quicker, the more auto attacks it takes, so the clone from Armut helping out on that one. Not only position for the eye, but yeah, pop it open. There you go. Quick take there from Supermassive. Cacao's going to be one to pick that up. I think that's the right decision in this one. I mean, Baloo's had a lot of pressure thrown his way in mid lane, but has stabilized in CS, and they can use that. But Mad Lions, they want to make an attack. No one's top lane. Arome's in mid, and they're all coming down to bot.
But Zeitnot and Snowflower are like, nah, we want none of this. They were already between their tier 1, tier 2s before anyone even started roaming down. They're like, we're not on the strong side of the map. Don't need to be anywhere near this. We don't know where Arome is. They just back away. They give up the turret. Don't lose any lives for it.
It's solid map play from both teams. Mad Lions did what they need to get the bot tower, but this Herald, of course, spins things up in mid lane. That should be able to knock down the turret.
Arome's trying to fight against Armut. Does have a level advantage as Armut goes in with a Cyclone. Arome, whoa, he's just dead before he can really do too much. Cacao gets the assist on the kill. Humanoid's able to save the tower.
Look at this, though. Mad Lions are underneath, and Zeitnot is not here, so they could force on Balulu.
Kazi looking for it. There's the quickness, but Lulu flashes away. The Dawning Shadow coming out. He's being put to sleep. Balulu falls, but Shadow's short to follow. You have to feel. Snowflower gets the kill. Supermassive take a loss, but also managed to get a kill of their own as they killed Shadow.
If you doubted the Rakan Twitch combo, that is the proof of concept right there. Humanoid caught out, though.
There's the Solar Flare. Humanoid has been locked in place. Kaiser's going to try and come in. Humanoid steals away a flash and is able to survive for the moment. Kazi now opening up his armor, comes in from the side. No Cyclone for him. Snowflower now on the wrong side of the rift, but he's going to be able to flash away as well, and he's healed
Teleport
up to
in.
almost full. The TP comes in from Arome, doesn't have the Realm of Death. Will have the Death's Grasp. Doesn't quite hit Zeitnot as he steps to the side. Mad Lions feels a little bit like they're overforcing and they'll back away.
Yeah, very, very close right there. Both teams just playing around for a little bit, seeing if they could find an opening. But Humanoid on that Zoe able to pick up a few too many flashes.